Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's class we are going to discuss about more topics of structure of atom chapter from class 11. In the previous video we have discussed about discovery of electron by Michael Faraday, and we have also discussed about how J.J. Thomson determined the charge to mass ratio of the given electron. Now we will discuss some related topics of the charge to mass ratio and how we can find out the charge of an electron, and later we talk about the discovery of proton and neutron. So begin with, let us recall the topic of J.J. Thomson's method of discovering its charge to mass ratio, in which he did that he connected the cathode and anode to a high-end battery source, and between the anode and the zinc phosphorescent sheet he placed electrical field and a magnetic field perpendicular to each other, which are in turn perpendicular to our incoming cathode rays. Okay, so now on this complete arrangement, he observed that in the absence of complete electrical field and in the just presence of magnetic field, there was collision of particles on the zinc fluorescent sheet at point A. Similarly, when he zeroed complete magnetic charge and installed just electrical field, he observed the collision at point C, and later he adjusted both those two and he came to a conclusion that it might be arranged and make focus on one point of collision, that will be B. So depending upon, he said that charge to mass ratio E by ME will be equal to 1.758820 into 10 to the power 11 coulomb per kg. So this is what we have discussed up till here yesterday. So now further, he said that there are factors which define the charge to mass ratio. There are certain factors which define the charge to mass ratio of an electron, and those factors are, first one being the magnitude of the negative charge. Magnitude of negative charge on the electron. Second one, mass of electron. Mass of electron. And third one being electrical and magnetic field strength. Electrical and magnetic field strength. So, depending upon these three factors, he concluded that we can alter the charge to mass ratio. So now, how did he explain those three factors are related with charge to mass ratio, which he determined using this experimental setup? So first one is magnitude of the charge. Okay, so that is, if the magnitude of the charge, that is, let us say, what is magnitude especially is, that is the non-negative value of a given physical quantity. So let us say if the charge of E is equal to minus x, so magnitude is nothing but modulus of x. Okay, so the magnitude is the modulus of x, that is, if you have plus, we will consider it as a positive value. If you have minus, we have to convert them into positive value again. So now magnitude of x, if the magnitude of x is higher, charge on the electron will be higher, right? So first, it clearly depends directly proportional to the magnitude of the electron's charge or the negative charge present. And second one is mass of electron. What he observed was, if the mass of electron passing from cathode to anode was high, if the mass of electron was high, then what happens is, whenever you throw a certain substance with certain mass, what happens is it goes through a projection and then falls down at a certain point. Let us say you are using a small ball, normal a tennis ball, and you are using a football. Okay, so if you throw a normal tennis ball and a football in the same amount of speed in the same direction, what happens is a tennis ball moves to a longer distance, whereas a football just moves to a short distance and falls down, right? So using that concept, he said that if the mass of the electron is higher, then the amount of deflection will be less. If the mass of the electron is high, then the amount of deflection, so this is the amount of deflection, that will be lesser. In case of, if the size is small, mass of atom will be small, therefore the amount of deflection will be high. So depending upon that, he said that if mass is higher, if the mass is greater, then the amount of deflection will be lesser. Okay. Next, he also said about the electrical and magnetic field strength. If either one of them is higher, like as we explained for the conclusion part, if magnetic field is high and electric field is low, then the electrons will be deflected towards the magnetic field, but not of the electric field. If the electric field is high and magnetic field is low, then reflection will be observed towards the electric field. Okay. So these are about the 3 points which he used to explain the factors of magnitude of negative charge, mass of electron, and electrical or magnetic field strength, which defines the charge to mass ratio of an electron, which he discovered by carry out the experiment. Okay. So this is about J.J. Thomson's complete electromagnetic ratio relation with respect to their factors depending on it. Next, we are going to discuss about the charge of the electron. You can't just use charge to mass ratio each and everywhere, right? In order to calculate certain terms, you need to use either just electron charge or just mass of the electron. So therefore, R.A. Millikan, a scientist named R.A. Millikan, came across an experiment to determine the charge of electron. R.A. Millikan came across an experiment in order to determine the charge of electron. That experiment is called as oil drop method. So we'll discuss that now. So in the oil drop method, R.A. Millikan considered an experimental setup such as like this, in which he took a closed container. In that closed container, he placed 2 discs, one at the top, one at the bottom, and the top disc had a small minute hole in it, which is made sure that it allows certain droplets of oil passing through them, and it was collected at the bottom plate. Okay, so between these 2 plates we have an X-ray stabilizer which stabilizes the motion of droplets from the top layer to the bottom layer, and then we have a telescope which is attached by a micro lens which enables us to watch the moving droplets, and then we have an atomizer which is used for dropping the oil droplets. So in this experiment, what he did was, he took an atomizer and made sure that it dropped certain amount of oil on the upper plate. Since the drop hole present on the oil upper plate is smaller, it was made sure that it allows only 1 drop at a time. This rate of droplets forming from upper plate to the lower plate was controlled by the X-ray stabilizer. Using all this, he came to know that the charge on this oil droplet, was equal to integral multiples of, if you consider charge on the oil droplet as Q, then Q was equal to integral multiples of charge on electron. Carrying out this experiment in a controlled condition, and he maintained the amount of droplets which has to be supposed to fall. He increased them, he decreased them, he maintained that in a constant manner, and doing all that, he came to know that the charge on the oil droplet was equal to integral multiples of the charge on electron, where Q is the charge of oil droplet and N is nothing but integers 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, and E is the charge of electron. So determining that, he came to know that charge on electron was 1.062 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. 1.062 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Since the charge on electron is a negative value, we take a negative sign on it. That is, E is equal to minus 1.062 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. So this was about the charge of the electron. Now, we know charge of the electron from this equation, and we know E by M value, E by ME, charge by mass ratio, that is 1.758820 into 10 to the power 11 coulombs per kg, right? So using these 2 values, we can determine the mass of our electron. So substitute the value of E here, that gives us minus 1.062 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs divided by mass, that is E by M ratio. We are taking this E by M ratio, E by ME, that is nothing but dividing both numerator and denominator by ME. We take the ME on the other side. So charge divided by mass by charge get cancelled. Denominator, nothing but the numerator. Okay, so therefore we get this. So once we get this, substitute the value of E by ME. So ME will be equal to minus 1.062 into 10 power minus 19 and we know charge of this ratio, charge to mass ratio, is always negative. So because of E, I'll take minus of 1.758820 into 10 to the power 11. Okay, minus minus get cancelled, so that gives us 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. So this is the mass of an electron. So using Millikan's oil drop method, we came to know about the charge of an electron, that is minus 1.062 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb, and charge of mass of an electron, which is found to be 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilograms. And later the charge of the electron was further considered as minus 1.0622 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So exact charge of electron was considered as 602. 1.602 2 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So this is about the complete discovery of electron, its charge value and its mass value. Next we will discuss about discovery of proton. For protons and neutrons, we came to know that protons can be determined by slightly altering our cathode ray tube experiments apparatus. So on carrying out some slight changes on the cathode ray tube experiment, we observed that we also might come across a constituent of an atom which may result in a subatomic particle of an atom. So that constituted particle was found to be as a canal rays. Instead of cathode rays for electron, we took canal rays as a consideration for determination of proton present, discovery of proton present. So these canal rays had certain specifications or properties with respect to itself, and those were, first being, these canal rays which were observed in the cathode ray tube was completely because of the gaseous particles or gaseous atom which were taken inside the cathode tube. So it completely depended upon, depending upon the gas taken in the cathode ray tube. So the positive canal rays which were observed was completely due to the gas taken in the cathode ray tube. So depending upon the gas which we are taking, we discovered that there are certain positive charges present. And then, not exactly, we didn't say positive at that time. Then the second point we say that, and further we came up to know that the characteristics experiencing by these particles in the presence of electrical and magnetic field, that is, in presence of electrical and magnetic field, the characteristics shown by these particles were quite opposite when compared to electrons. The characteristics shown by these particles in presence of electrical and magnetic field was quite opposite to what we observed in case of electrons. So therefore we call them as some positive subatomic particle. And further, they were completely depending upon the origination of gas molecules. So if you are considering a gas molecule taken in a cathode ray tube, then the positive nature of that complete molecule was said to have some fundamental quantities. It's said to have some fundamental quantities, and those fundamental quantities were completely depending upon the gas origin of the gas which you have taken in the cathode ray tube. So if the gas has certain origin, and that origin was similar to the fundamental constituents which are found, fundamental constituents which was found by the positive charges present in the canal rays. That means it constituted with some fundamental quantities resembling origin of the gas taken. So using all these conclusions, we came to know that there might be one more subatomic particle, and further we can say that if you are considering just electron as a subatomic particle, an atom will be negative charged. Like if I say this is an atom, and using our Michael Faraday's experiment and J.J. Thomson experiment, if we say there is just electron present in it, then we should say the atom should be negative charge. But in actually, atoms are not negative charge, they are neutral. So we can come to a conclusion that there are some subatomic particles which are quite opposite to electrons, with respect to their charge value. So therefore, we came across a term called proton, which is found to be the smallest positive charge species. Called them as proton, which is also known as our hydrogen atom. Proton or hydrogen atom. So hydrogen atom or proton is said to have a charge opposite to that of electron, that is plus 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So the charge of proton was 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. So this is about the discovery of proton. Using these theory concepts, we observed that we have protons and electrons. Later, in the year 1908, Chadwick Boseman bombarded a beryllium sheet with alpha particle. He bombarded beryllium sheet with an alpha particle. On bombarding the beryllium sheet with the alpha particle, he came across a new subatomic particle called neutron. He was expecting proton to be released, but there came across a new atom or subatomic particle called neutron, which had no charge, but mass slightly greater than that of proton. That is, if you consider this as a beryllium sheet, when he bombarded the alpha ray on the beryllium sheet, he was expected to get proton atom. This proton has certain charge, that is 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. But what he got was a neutral charge species. So there was no charge present on applying electric or magnetic field. So he set them as some neutral molecule, neutral subatomic particle, and further they concluded them as neutrons, which have zero charge and has mass greater than that of proton. It has mass greater than that of proton and has a neutron charge. So using these conclusions, now in the present situation, we have three subatomic particles of atom. Those are electrons, protons and neutrons. Okay. So the electrons, protons and neutrons are given a specific charge and mass value, and there is a specific charge to mass ratio. Those are, we'll write it down one after the other. So first one is discovered as electron. Next we came across proton P and neutron N. So this is electron denoted by the symbol E minus, proton denoted by the symbol P plus or H plus, and neutron is denoted by N. The charge of these specific components: charge of electron minus 1.6022 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb, charge of proton plus 1.6022 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb, charge of neutron is 0. They don't have any charge. Next, for mass of electron is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. Mass of proton was 1.6243 into 10 power minus 27 kg. Mass of neutron is 1.6439 into 10 power minus 27 kg. So, if you observe here, the mass of neutron is slightly greater than the mass of proton and it has zero charge. So, these are the specific counterparts of charge and masses which related to electron, proton and neutron. So this is all about for today. We have learnt about the discovery of electron, discovery of proton and discovery of neutron, and we have also discussed about the electron charges and proton charges and the masses of electron, proton and neutrons. In the next class, we are going to discuss about certain models which discuss the complete constitution of atoms present in the universe. And if you have any doubts regarding this topic we have explained, please do comment down below, or you can mail me those doubts in my mail ID which I have given you in the description box. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel and share this among your friends so that they get used of these videos. Thank you for watching.